To find my Tom of Bedlam, 10,000 years of travel, Mad Maudlin goes with dirty toes to save us.
Welcome to Folk Files, a podcast that digs into the weird and wonderful origins of traditional folk songs. This month, there's an emphasis on weird. We are going to dive into the bizarre Brechtian world of the song you can hear in the background, here performed by the group Heritage. The song is sometimes called Tom of Bedlam, Mad Tom of Bedlam, Boys of Bedlam, or Bedlam Boys, and it has beguiled folk singers for centuries. Before I jump into Tom of Bedlam, a quick announcement from another folk music podcast.
Basic Folk features honest conversations with folk musicians hosted by Cindy Howes and Lizzie No.
Basic Folk approaches these interviews with warmth, with humor, and most importantly, with insightful questions.
Since 2018, this podcast has fostered the folk community and showcased a genre that is often misunderstood.
Has it really been since 2018? Well, no wonder our definition of folk is so extremely broad. We have an entire constellation of guests. And you're going to hear all of these stars sharing their stories, from three-time Grammy winners like Molly Tuttle.
We had this funny thing we'd say in the studio, like, make us ACUS. So make us Allison Krauss and Union Station, because they're like our heroes.
You're going to hear from modern Haitian American folk legends like Layla McCalla.
I think it's wild how little Haiti is spoken of. It is so much a part of the world that we live in.
And really deep feelers, like John Hyatt.
I am going to ask you about your feelings. Hope you're ready.
I'm sorry, I can't go there.
Basic Folk is so pleased to be an official production of the Bluegrass Situation. Thanks for listening, and welcome to Basic Folk.
I got a delightful email from Cindy Howes inviting me to do an episode swap with Basic Folk. That means that next month, I'll be introducing Folk Files listeners to an episode of Basic Folk right here in the Folk Files feed. But don't worry, you don't need to wait. You can head over to Basic Folk and start listening to their insightful interviews right after this episode. Now, on to Tom of Bedlam. There are two things that fascinate me about the most popular version of this song. First of all, while the lyrics are very old, as I'll discuss in a moment, the tune that has prevailed is very new. The tune that almost every singer uses is mostly the work of the Halliard's Dave Morton with some small input from Nick Jones, to quote Nick's wife Julia. The Halliard was a British folk revival group that started performing in the 1960s. Despite the fact that they performed Boys of Bedlam throughout their career, and many groups gave them credit for the tune, they didn't actually record a version of the song until 2005. Here is that recording.
Went down to Satan's kitchen for to buy some food one morning, and there I got souls piping hard, which on the spitter were turning. Yet still I sing, bonny boys, bonny mad boys, the Bedlam boys are bonny. They all go bare and they live by the air and they want no drink nor money.
I wouldn't be surprised if many people assumed that the tune was traditional. After all, Nick and Dave's tune blends in well with songs from the 1800s. Curiously, this wasn't a situation where the original tune was lost, and so Nick and Dave were forced to write a new one. The original tune of the song was written down in Wit and Mirth, or Pills to Purge Melancholy, by Thomas Durfee in 1720. It goes something like this, performed by Catherine Bott.
To find my Tom of Bedlam, 10,000 years I'll travel. Mad Maudlin goes with dirty toes to save her shoes from gravel. Yet will I sing, bonny boys, bonny mad boys, Bedlam boys are bonny. They still go bare and live by the air and want no drink, no money.
The original tune requires a few more vocal gymnastics than the Halliard's version, so I can understand why the latter became more popular. However, the song that Thomas Durfee published is not called Tom of Bedlam or Boys of Bedlam or any of the other titles I referenced earlier. It's called Mad Maudlin, to find out Tom of Bedlam. And this is the other thing that I find fascinating. This song is not about a madman. It's about a mad woman. We call this song Tom of Bedlam, but folk scholars argue that it is actually Mad Maudlin's response to songs bearing the title Tom of Bedlam. In a long tradition of writing songs from the point of view of Tom, it is Maudlin's song that survived. Let's take a step backwards and talk about who these characters are. The Priory of St. Mary of Bethlehem was founded in 1247 and given the task of caring for sick paupers. Bethlehem eventually was shortened to Bedlam, and at some point prior to the 15th century, the monks at St. Mary began caring for patients with mental illness rather than physical illness. And so, Bedlam arguably became England's first mental institution. The hospital's history is rife with scandal. As early as 1403, the hospital treasurer was charged with embezzlement and theft. In the 17th and 18th centuries, the public could pay to observe the patients. These public visits were supposed to be educational and promote charity, but they were really just excuses for people to ogle and mock the sick patients. It was treated as entertainment. As you might suspect, treatment was essentially torture. Patients were locked up, forced to do rituals of religious devotion, and abused. It was thought that pain and physical abuse would shake the patients from their madness. Doctors would try to rid patients of their lunacy by bleeding them, starving them, and forcing them to purge their stomachs. Also, many of the patients were poor, without anyone to turn to for help. When they were discharged from the hospital, they would often end up on the streets, begging. This is where the archetype of Tom of Bedlam comes from. Tom of Bedlam is a wandering beggar who either has had a stint at Bedlam or is pretending to be mentally ill in order to garner sympathy and charity. The earliest reference to the term is in John Audley's 1561 Fraternity of Vagabonds, which discusses many different types of beggars. As Audley writes, poor Tom walketh bare-armed and bare-legged, and feigneth himself mad. The persona of Tom of Bedlam would have a horn around his neck that he would drink out of, and a tin bracelet around his arm, given to him at Bedlam that he could not take off. The bracelet was a ruse, however, since the governors of Bedlam announced in 1675 in the London Gazette, "Whereas several vagrant persons do wander about, pretending themselves to be lunatics under cure in the hospital of Bethlehem, commonly called Bedlam, with brass plates about their arms and inscriptions thereon. These are to give notice that there is no such liberty given to any patients kept in the said hospital for their cure, neither is any such plate as a distinction or mark put upon any lunatic during their being there, or when discharged thence." Even so, Tom was often depicted with an armband and a horn in popular culture. The character of Tom of Bedlam inspired many songs, the earliest of which is probably that printed in 1659 in a miscellany called Wit and Drollery. If you've heard any version of Tom of Bedlam, you'll probably recognize the lyrics of the first verse. It is called Tom of Bedlam's Song, and here is part of a version that I found on the Country Dance and Song Society website.
From the hag and hungry goblin that into rags would rend ye, from the spirit that stands by the naked man in the Book of Moons defend ye, that of your 5 sound senses ye never be forsaken, nor wander from yourselves with Tom abroad to beg your bacon. So I cry, any food, any feeding, drink or clothing, come dame or maid, be not afraid, poor Tom will injure nothing.
This tune was taken from a song called I Am a Rogue and a Stout One, found in the Drexel 4257 manuscript. The Book of Moons mentioned in the song was likely an almanac. Not only did almanacs have the phases of the moon, but they also usually featured a naked man, like in the song, called the Zodiac Man. Each of the constellations was thought to govern a certain part of the body, and so the naked man was used to indicate those connections. Another set of lyrics that this song has in common with the more popular version of Tom of Bedlam is "The moon's my constant mistress, the lowly owl my marrow, the flaming drake and night crow make me music for my sorrow." In these lines, marrow means mate, so the owl is his wife. The flaming drake is either a comet or a dragon, and the night crow is just another term for owl, again, his wife. But this song is all from the perspective of Tom. The chorus goes,
While I do sing, any food, any feeding, drink or clothing, come dame or maid, be not afraid, poor Tom will injure nothing.
Well, he refers to himself in the third person, but it's clearly from the perspective of Tom. By the way, that version is from Kate Price. It is the same story for most of the other songs and poems written about madness. In Relics of Ancient English Poetry by Thomas Percy, he publishes 6 mad songs, as he calls them, and all but one are from the madman's perspective. Amusingly, Percy wrote, "It is worth attention that the English have more songs and ballads on the subject of madness than any of their neighbours. Whether there be any truth in the insinuation that we are more liable to this calamity than other nations, or that our native gloominess hath peculiarly recommended subjects of this cast to our writers, we certainly do not find the same in the printed collections of French, Italian songs, etc." Let's return to the Tom of Bedlam song from Wit and Drollery, which critic Harold Bloom calls perhaps the greatest anonymous poem in English. There is a rather raunchy verse that mentions Maudlin. With a thought I look for Maudlin, and a cruise of cockle pottage. With a thing thus tall, sky bless you all, I befell into this dotage. Those of you who have studied Shakespeare probably know exactly what thing has grown tall. And speaking of Shakespeare, Edgar in King Lear disguises himself as a Tom of Bedlam character. He says in Act 2, Scene 3, "The country gives me proof and precedent of Bedlam beggars who with roaring voices strike in their numbed and mortified bare arms pins, wooden pricks, nails, sprigs of rosemary, and with this horrible object from low farms, poor pelting villages, sheep-cots and mills, sometime with lunatic bands, sometime with prayers, enforce their charity. Poor Turley God! Poor Tom! That's something yet. Edgar, I nothing am." There is a theory that Shakespeare may have even written the Tom of Bedlam poem in Wit and Drollery, and that it is a lost song from King Lear. But there doesn't seem to be much evidence of that. So, in the song, Tom fools around with Maudlin and then claims that that's how he became mad. It's possible that this is a reference to syphilis, since Bedlam treated patients with syphilis. But who is Maudlin? Bedlam was for men, but the Hospital of St. Mary Maudlin was its female counterpart. By the way, Maudlin is spelled like Magdalene in the name of the hospital. So Maudlin was a woman who was treated for mental illness. Unlike with Tom, there doesn't seem to be any literary tradition of Maudlin feigning her illness. So the song printed by Thomas Durfee in 1720 is from the point of view of a mad woman trying to find Tom of Bedlam. And it doesn't seem like she's going to be that happy to see him. My wits are lost since him I crossed, which makes me go thus chained. She blames him for her current state, but she also doesn't want any other woman to have him.
Bonny boys, bonny mad boys, Bedlam boys are bonny, for they all go bare and they live in the air and they want no drink and no money. No gypsy, slut, no doxy, can't take my mad Tom from me. I'll dance all night and with stars fight, afraid it shall become me.
That version was by Old Blind Dogs. Let's dissect a few of the lyrics of the song. One of the lines has the words slut and doxy right next to each other. Now, slut doesn't mean what you think it means. Doxy does. Doxy means a prostitute or a mistress. Slut, on the other hand, just means a young woman or a wench. To illustrate, here's a passage from Samuel Pepys's diary. My wife called up the people to washing by 4 o'clock in the morning, and our little girl Susan is a most admirable slut and pleases us mightily. Very different meaning from today. Then there's the line, my bag a long knife carries to cut mince pies from children's thighs, with which I feast the fairies. This is a reflection of the fact that fairies have become a lot more child-friendly and palatable in modern fairy tales. A lot of fairies in old fairy tales are terrifying and will happily eat children. Then there's, and when I have beaten the man in the moon to powder, his dog I'll take and him I'll make howl as could no demon louder. If you have read or watched A Midsummer Night's Dream, you might know that it was common during the Renaissance for the man in the moon to be represented as an old man with a staff, lantern, and thorn bush being followed by a dog. But does any of this really explain the lyrics? No, because it's supposed to be poetic nonsense. There is, of course, a narrative. Maudlin travels all the way to heaven and all the way to Pluto's kitchen in hell searching for Tom. But while there's a lot of rhyme, there's not a lot of reason. While researching this episode, I learned a fun fact about one of my favorite versions of Boys of Bedlam, by Steeleye Span. In this version, the singers Maddie Pryor and Martin Carthy sing into the back of a banjo at the beginning to give it that faraway, eerie tone. Take a listen.
I went down to Satan's kitchen for to get me food one morning, and there I got souls piping out all on this bit of turning. Still I sing bonny boys, bonny mad boys, Bedlam boys are bonny, for they all go there and they live at the air, and they want no drink nor money.
I had to play you a section where the bass starts coming in. If you haven't heard Steeleye Span's version of the song, I highly recommend listening to the full thing, because the build-up is musically delicious. A final note, and a reminder to fact-check. When my band first started performing this song, someone told us that it was the oldest written account of a secular song in the modern English language. So we started passing that fact along to our audience. Except, it seems like it's not a fact at all. I could find nothing to support it. It is likely one of the oldest secular modern English songs ever printed, because before the 1650s, very little music was printed at all. But if you were one of the audience members I blatantly lied to, I apologize. Thank you so much to Victoria, the Folk Files listener who suggested doing an episode on this song. I am going to end with Music the Gathering's version of Tom of Bedlam, which is mashed with the tune Tamlin, so we playfully call it Tam of Bedlam. If you're wondering why I often end with my band's version of a song, it's not because I think we deserve to follow Steeleye Span, but simply because I like to end episodes with a full version of the song I've discussed, and I prefer to stick to tracks that are either public domain or that I have permission to play. So, if you are a musician listening to this and you see that I'm doing an episode on a song that you've recorded, send it my way. I'd love to introduce Folk Files listeners to your music. And thank you to those musicians who have already reached out regarding future episodes. If you have any questions or comments about this episode, feel free to reach out at folkfilespodcast@gmail.com or on social media at folkfilespodcast. You can also join my Patreon as a free member to access my social media posts or to send me messages. Thank you so much for listening, and stay sane out there if you can.
Still I sing money. Still I sing money boys, bonny mad boys, Bedlam boys are bonny, for they all go bare and they live by the air, and the one don't drink no money. Wow! For to find that Tom of Bedlam, 10,000 miles I'll travel, that Maudlin goes on dirty toes, for to save her shoes from gravel, and still I sing bonny boys, bonny mad boys, Bedlam boys are bonny, for they all go bare and they live by the air, and they want no drink nor money. I now repeat Bedlam